You finish your workout. Your muscles are burning. Your shirt is soaked. You pushed harder than last week, added weight to the bar, and walked out convinced you did exactly what you were supposed to do. But months later, you look almost the same. That feels impossible. If you are training hard, eating protein, and getting stronger, your muscles should keep growing. Right? Not exactly, because your body does not care how difficult your workout felt. It does not care how much you sweat. And it definitely does not care how badly you want bigger muscles. Your body changes only when it has a reason to change. And eventually, the workout that once gave it that reason stops being convincing. To understand why, you have to understand what muscle growth actually is. When you lift a challenging weight, your muscle fibers experience mechanical tension. In simple terms, they are forced to produce force while being stretched and shortened under load. That tension creates signals inside the muscle, telling it that its current capacity may not be enough. Your body responds by adapting. Researchers such as Brad Schoenfeld have spent years studying the mechanisms behind muscle hypertrophy, the scientific term for muscle growth. The evidence increasingly points to mechanical tension as one of the most important drivers. But here is where things get interesting. Your body is extremely good at adaptation. Imagine the first time you ever did 10 hard squats. Your legs probably hated you the next day. Walking downstairs felt like a negotiation. The stimulus was unfamiliar, so your body had a lot to adapt to. Do the exact same workout for a year? Different story. Your nervous system becomes more efficient. Your technique improves. Your muscles become better at handling the load. What once felt like a crisis becomes normal, and normal is the enemy of adaptation. This is why beginners can sometimes seem almost magical. Someone who has never lifted seriously can enter a gym, follow a decent program, eat reasonably well, and gain noticeable muscle surprisingly quickly. Almost everything is new stimulus. But as you become trained, the target moves. The body you built to survive your old workouts is now perfectly capable of surviving them. So you need progression. You have probably heard the phrase progressive overload. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Over time, your muscles need to be challenged more than they were before. That can mean more weight, more repetitions, better control, a larger range of motion, more difficult exercises, or sometimes simply getting closer to muscular failure with the same load. But progression does not mean blindly adding weight every workout forever. If it did, someone benching 135 pounds today would eventually bench 1,000 pounds just by adding 5 pounds every week. Human biology has limits. And this is where many people accidentally confuse strength with muscle growth. You add weight to an exercise and assume your muscles must have grown because you are stronger. Sometimes they have. But strength is also a skill. In classic research on resistance training, scientists such as Roger Inoka have described how neural adaptations can improve strength without requiring the same proportional increase in muscle size. Your brain becomes better at recruiting muscle fibers. Your coordination improves. Your technique becomes more efficient. You learn the movement, so your bench press might increase while your chest barely changes. Have you ever seen someone who does not look enormous move a shocking amount of weight? That is part of the reason. Your nervous system learned how to use what you already have. Muscle growth requires something more specific. Enough challenging work to stimulate the muscle, followed by enough recovery and nutrition to actually build new tissue. And that first part is where another problem appears. You might not be training as hard as you think. Researchers often describe exercise intensity using repetitions in reserve. If you finish a set and could genuinely perform 3 more repetitions before failure, you have roughly 3 reps in reserve. The closer you get to failure, the more your body is forced to recruit high-threshold motor units, including fibers capable of producing large amounts of force. But humans are not perfect at estimating this. A study led by researcher Eric Helms and others has helped popularize practical methods of judging proximity to failure, while broader research has shown that lifters can misjudge how many repetitions they truly have left. That matters, because a set that feels uncomfortable is not automatically a highly stimulating set. Burning is uncomfortable. Heavy breathing is uncomfortable. Sweating is uncomfortable. None of those things guarantee that the target muscle was pushed close enough to its current capacity. Your brain is designed to dislike discomfort long before your muscles literally become incapable of another repetition. So you stop. Your brain says, that was brutal. Your muscles say, you had 4 more. But suppose you are training hard enough. You are progressing. Your technique is solid, and you still stop growing. Now you run into the second half of the equation. Recovery. The gym does not actually build the finished muscle. The gym provides the signal. The rebuilding happens afterward. Think of training like sending your body a construction order. You can send increasingly urgent orders every day, but if the construction crew never gets enough time or materials, the building does not magically appear. Protein is one of those materials. Resistance training increases your body's demand for amino acids, the building blocks used to create proteins in muscle tissue. Researchers such as Stuart Phillips have extensively studied protein metabolism and resistance exercise, showing why sufficient dietary protein matters for maximizing muscle growth. But more is not infinitely better. Once your protein intake is sufficient, doubling it does not mean doubling your muscle growth. Calories matter too. Building tissue costs energy. You can build muscle while losing fat under certain circumstances, particularly if you are newer to training, returning after time off, or carrying more body fat. But gaining muscle becomes harder when your body is constantly operating with too little energy. And then there is sleep. You can have the perfect program and perfect protein target, but your body still has to recover from the stress you created. Sleep affects performance, recovery, hormones, motivation, and your ability to train effectively the next day. Miss one night and your muscles do not disappear. But consistently treating sleep as optional while demanding maximum adaptation from your body is like trying to renovate a house while repeatedly sending the workers home early. Then there is another trap. More training? When growth slows, your instinct might be to add more. More sets, more exercises, more days, more intensity techniques. You assume that if 10 sets are good, 20 must be better. But muscle growth does not work like collecting points. Training volume has a dose-response relationship only up to a point. Research from Schoenfeld and other exercise scientists suggests that performing enough weekly sets can support greater hypertrophy, but the benefit does not rise forever. Eventually, additional work creates fatigue faster than useful stimulus, and fatigue can hide progress. Your performance drops, your joints hurt, your repetitions become sloppy. The muscle you are trying to train stops being the limiting factor because everything else is exhausted. You are doing more work while giving your muscles a worse reason to grow. Strange, right? Sometimes the person doing less grows faster because the work they do is higher quality and they recover from it. There is also a psychological problem hiding inside all of this. Humans love novelty. A new workout feels productive because it feels different. So after 3 weeks, you change exercises. Then you change rep ranges. Then you find a new program online. Then a fitness creator shows you an exercise you have never seen before, so you replace another movement. Every workout becomes entertainment, but adaptation needs consistency. If you constantly change the test, it becomes difficult to know whether you are improving. Imagine trying to measure your running progress by doing a different distance on a different surface in different shoes every week. You would have data. It just would not tell you much. The same thing happens in the gym. Keeping useful exercises long enough allows you to improve your execution and track whether you are actually doing more over time. That does not mean you should never change exercises. It means change should have a reason. Maybe an exercise hurts. Maybe your anatomy makes another movement more comfortable. Maybe you have genuinely stalled after months of productive training. Those are reasons. Being bored after 2 Tuesdays is not. And eventually, even when you do nearly everything correctly, growth still slows. That is not necessarily failure. It is biology. The closer you move toward your individual muscular potential, the harder additional growth becomes. Your first few pounds of muscle are much easier to build than your next few. This is why comparing your progress to someone else's can become misleading. Genetics influence muscle shape, limb lengths, hormone levels, fiber characteristics, recovery, appetite, and how strongly different people respond to training. In a well-known study led by Claude Bouchard's broader tradition of studying individual responses to exercise, and in resistance training research such as work by Michael Hubal and colleagues, researchers found enormous variation between people's responses to the same training stimulus. Some participants gained much more muscle than others. Same general intervention, different bodies. That does not mean genetics decide everything. It means genetics help decide the speed limit. You still decide whether you are pressing the accelerator. And this is where the answer becomes simpler than most people want it to be. If your muscles have stopped growing, you do not necessarily need a secret exercise. You need to find the bottleneck. Are your lifts or repetitions progressing over months? Are your working sets actually challenging? Are you performing enough quality volume without burying yourself in fatigue? Are you eating enough protein and total food? Are you sleeping enough to recover? Have you stayed consistent long enough to measure anything? And are you expecting advanced progress at a beginner's speed? One of those questions usually matters more than another random exercise you saw online. The frustrating part is that muscle growth is slow enough to hide from you. You see yourself every day. A tiny change from Monday to Tuesday is invisible, so you assume nothing is happening. This is why measurements, training logs, body weight trends, and photographs taken under similar conditions can be more useful than staring into the mirror after every workout. Your feelings are immediate. Adaptation is not. And maybe that is the strangest part of building muscle. The workout feels like the important moment because it is loud. Weights crash, your heart races, your muscles burn. But the actual transformation is quiet. It happens while you eat, while you sleep, while your body repairs tissue. Then you return and ask it to do slightly more than before. Again, and again, and again. Until eventually the challenge that once forced your body to grow becomes the challenge your body was built to handle. So you finish your workout, your muscles are burning, your shirt is soaked. You pushed harder than last week, but this time, you understand the part that actually matters. Your muscles do not grow because the workout felt hard. They grow because, over time, you gave your body a reason to become something that workout could no longer defeat.